Well, what I did, Rick, is I looked at all the unusual circumstances around this situation. This happened at the University of Miami 5, 6, 7 years ago. We've only had a chance to judge Clint for 4 years that he's been with us. It'll be 4 years at the end of the season. What we've seen here is he's been a model citizen. He's been a model for compliance. He's done everything we've ever asked him to do above and beyond. He's been great on the field. He's been great off the field. So that played a lot into my decision, weighed a lot into my decision. I think he's learned from his mistakes. To the best of his recollection, he was open and honest to everybody involved. You know, that's probably up for debate with the NCAA, obviously, but that's the way he felt. That's all we've asked him to do. So what I'm doing is I'm putting great faith into what his future is going to be like. He's been heavily penalized since last, I believe it was last March. Those penalties are past, they're current, and they're future. So he's going to be under some very, very difficult restrictions, not only financially, but educationally, and he understands that, and I think he's ready to meet the challenge.
The NCAA's finding is that he was not truthful in the June hearing, which was obviously employed by the university. How does that weigh into this, and how do you justify it?
It does weigh into that. It weighs into it heavily, and I think that's probably the biggest issue. I take Clint at face value. I really believe from what I've seen in the 4 years that he's been here, he's been very truthful. He's been very honest. And I think he went in open and honest to those meetings. I know he looked forward to those meetings with the NCAA. There was no question about that. He even requested those.
Did you ask him about the situation at the restaurant, whether that in fact happened?
Right. And his story is a little bit different than theirs. Same stories, though. Don't get me wrong. But his is a little different than their variation.
Would you consider appealing or going forward on any of those issues point by point?
No, Eric, I think what we want to do is put it behind us. We have great respect for the NCAA. We have great respect for the Committee on Infractions. We know there was issues. We think we can work through them. You know, we're going to hold Clint to the highest standard possible, and we think he'll deliver on it.
Can you talk about any measures you went to as far as early on, if you could, determining his trustworthiness or what his story was in fact?
Well, when this all broke and it got back to the Nevin Shapiro incident, he laid out all of it to us about how that all came down and how it worked. He was a young coach that made young mistakes, and as he's matured, I think he's grown out of those.